Hello, everyone. I'm James Milan. Welcome to this town hall update. And for it, we are welcoming our town manager, Adam Chapdelaine, back from a well-earned late summer vacation. Hope it was a good one, Adam.
It was very good. Thank you very much, but glad to be back.
Glad to see you again. And let's get right into it. Tonight, we speak to you on Thursday, September 9th. And tonight, there will be a forum, which I think is going to have plenty of attendance because people are real interested. So why don't you just tell us what the content is and how the preparations are going?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, we're having a virtual town forum tonight focused solely on the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, as we're calling it in acronym form, which is the rescue money approved by the federal government that cities and towns across America are receiving, and Arlington is receiving as well. We expect to receive a collective $34 million, which is really still, as I say it out loud today, even though we've known about it for several months, a shocking amount of money that can be invested in some key areas that, directly respond to the pandemic, but also feel like areas that we would have wished we could have invested more in, but have never had the ability to do so. So we rolled out a public comment period, or opened a public comment period, about a month ago. We're closing that public comment period today. Tonight, what I want to do is update the public on what we've heard during that public comment period, show them some revisions that we've made to the framework that we shared at the start of the public comment period. Hopefully take about 20 minutes or half an hour to do that, and then answer questions and receive further feedback and comment from attendees at tonight's forum. I'll be there. We'll have Mike Rademacher, the Director of Public Works, Jenny Raitt, the Director of Planning and Community Development, and Christine Barngiorno, Director of Health and Human Services, also there with me, ready to answer any questions that people might have, about some of the different investment areas that are laid out in the framework. After tonight, I plan to go to the Select Board on Monday, September 13th, provide them with a presentation, possibly even with further updates based upon comments and feedback that we received tonight. Take the Select Board's feedback, make further edits, and then go back to the board on September 27th and ask them to endorse something that will be close to a final plan. I think I want to try to get people to understand that there will be adjustments over the 3.5-year period that we're allowed to expend these funds, but I'd like to get close to a framework that we're all on board with so that we can start making these investments in areas like affordable housing, areas like food insecurity, mental health resources, homelessness, investments in water and sewer infrastructure, and a few other areas beyond that. So these are important investments that I hope will make a lasting impact on the community for, frankly, in some instances, decades to come.
Yeah, if we have a couple of other things to talk about, as we always do, but if you don't mind, I just wanted to ask one thing, and that is, can you put that $34 million figure a little bit into perspective for us? I think, as you said, it's an eye-opening amount, even as you consider it over time. But what kind of a boon is that within the overall framework of our kind of annual budgets here in town?
So I think I say two things in response to that. One, before I put it in context, is unfortunately we can't use really any of this, or maybe only a very limited amount, to benefit the general fund. So from a taxpayer impact, we're working to see if there are ways we can provide taxpayer impact, taxpayer benefit, but we may not be able to. And I'll talk more about that tonight. However, in terms of context, so $34 million most closely compares to the town operating departments' operating budgets. So if you just take the town departments, not the school department, not health insurance, not some of the ancillary accounts that we have to fund, but just the departments, police, fire, public works, and all the internal departments that make everything work, that budget's about $31 or $32 million on an annual basis. So this number eclipses our annual operating budget. The capital budget on an annual basis is, ranges between $9 and $10 million. So this is nearly triple the amount of money we spend on capital on a year in, year out basis. So the town's total budget on an annual basis, including schools, it's about $170 million. So it's not as big as the town's whole budget, but I think when you compare it to town operating budgets or the capital budget, like I just mentioned, it's a real number, right? It's a real significant amount of funding.
Yeah, real game changers, you said, and hopefully we'll see the benefits of it over a long period of time. Moving on, though, this is not the only public forum that's going to be taking place within the week that this update will pertain. We have a housing forum also coming up next week. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
So the town has embarked on an update to its housing plan. The housing plan had been completed first in 2016 and endorsed by both the select board and the redevelopment board. And the state collects those housing plans and actually encourages communities to create those housing plans, but expects them to update it every 5 years. So the town, via the Planning and Community Development Department, as well as a housing plan committee, are working to update that housing plan. So on September 14th, next week at 6:30 p.m., there'll be another forum to educate the public a little bit about what has been accomplished so far in updating the plan, as well as to receive feedback from the public about the housing plan.
And we should mention that both tonight's forum and next Tuesday's forum will be carried live by ACMi, and people will also be able to see it if they can't get there at that time. We will also be re-airing those regularly on our channels. And finally, the clerk's office, I know, is busy right now, both planning for and continuing to solicit input around the re-precincting, which is a likely to happen in the next little while. That's our third and last topic of conversation for today, Adam. So just shine a little light on what that means exactly.
Absolutely. So the clerk has been doing a great job in leading this effort. And I think what I would add is, this is a process that happens every 10 years, stemming from the federal census. So we get our new census numbers, the state gets them, and then every city and town in the Commonwealth needs to consider redistricting or re-precincting to balance their precincts. There's a statistical analysis that goes in to make sure that precincts are within a certain sort of threshold of size as compared to one another. And that often means that precinct boundaries have to be changed. This year, the clerk, along with staff from the Planning and Community Development Office, from the IT department, being the GIS coordinator, as well as Jill Harvey from the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, are taking a really hard look at this to see how we can not only be efficient in our precincting, and considering whether or not 21 is the right number or a different number of precincts is the right number, but also how we can enhance equity in our precincting to make sure that either whether they be historically marginalized or historically underrepresented communities or vulnerable communities, to make sure that they are, if possible, being given a voting block and that they aren't being split in precincting. So I know there's some great resources that have been made available on the town's website by this re-precincting working group, and they'll be presenting to the select board on Monday. And I know they're currently asking for feedback from the community. So if people go to arlingtonma.gov, I believe the banner right now is on re-precincting. They can access all that information and submit comments. So it's an important thing that happens every 10 years. And I think we've been very fortunate to have a great team that's working on trying to get it right for Arlington.
Great. Thank you very much also for that explanation, because I think it's going to make clearer to people that this re-precincting is not simply some kind of bureaucratic, thing that's not relevant for most of the population, but instead it really goes right to the core of our identity as a community and what we might be able to do, as you say, to increase equity moving forward over the next 10 years. So it's an important step to be taken, and people should definitely weigh in. Hopefully, the various ways in which people can, they will take advantage of that, and you'll hear from the community around this in a useful way.
Absolutely.
All right, Adam, thank you so much for your time as always. Anything that we have failed to mention that we should have? No,
other than that, I think we've got a busy fall ahead of us. It's been a busy year and a half and a busy summer, but I think, I was just talking about the select board agenda with the select board chair right before I jumped on this. And yeah, we've got a lot of work to do, but I think it's good work and it'll continue to move the community forward.
Again, we started with welcoming you back from your vacation. It's going to need to provide some fuel for a number of months, it sounds like. So let's hope it does. I have been speaking with our town manager, Adam Chapdelaine, for this town hall update. I'm James Milan. Thanks for your time, Adam, and thanks for your time out there as well. We'll see you next time.